to the K.
To the K.
To the K.
Is The Rock returning at SummerSlam?
No.
Who knows?
Triple H calls AEW a secondary promotion.
Are AEW set to launch their own streaming service?
Sadly, Jamie Hayter is set to miss All In and possibly all of 2023.
Vince McMahon undergoes life-altering surgery.
Welsh wrestling legend Adrian Street sadly passes away.
Roosh signs a new deal with AEW.
Jeff Hardy wants one more title. World title.
And Jim Ross offers an update on his retirement. Anthony, when's all this coming up?
Right freaking now.
Yes, it is. So, let's get a bit clickbaity, shall we?
Let's click that bait.
Let's click some bait. The belief is that
a
The
tag
Rock...
team?
Probably. Probably on NXT.
Yeah, NXT. Definitely.
We're both going there. Your t-shirt looks green.
Yes,
here.
it does. You're
I was
welcome.
about to compliment you and The Rock's similar,
Physique, yeah.
Close enough.
But times.
So, I think this was on Ringside News, so take it with a massive shovel of salt.
No, can't believe it.
I kid. I don't mind them that much. But there's tentative plans, maybe, for The Rock to appear at SummerSlam. Now, Ringside News have reached out to WWE and been like, "Ah, yeah, it's The Rock coming, SummerSlam."
All right.
And they're like, "Well, we've not had any plans to say he is or he isn't." And they're like, "Oh." So then everyone's gone, "He is!" And it's like, well, that's kind of not what's being said.
Yeah.
But Grayson Waller has been leaning heavily into stuff to do with The Rock and kind of riding the coattails of the Bloodline story. He was kind of doing the people's elbow and
Trying
stuff
to take
on
from that
SmackDown.
Dwayne vein.
He is. But he wants to give him the rub. I think he's married.
Okay, I mean, I don't really get Grayson Waller.
Who does?
So, like...
Oh, you and your vibrations on your phone.
I'm talking about good vibrations, Carl. Is it talking about? It's picking up, isn't it? I totally fucked that up.
Yeah.
But anyway, right? My point being, if he comes back, I don't want it to be a Grayson Waller thing.
Yeah. Like, could you imagine The Rock finally comes back to WWE and it's not to be involved in the Bloodline?
Yeah, that'd be great, wouldn't it?
It's to do something with Grayson
It
Waller.
feels like I've been... That doesn't sound like Triple H booking. That sounds like a Vince booking.
I thought you were being legit then for a minute. I was about but yeah, like put it this way as well. For as you saw from the headlines there, Vince has just had life-altering surgery, so he's not been at Raw and SmackDown. So it's been shit because Triple H has made it shit. Okay, so people just need to accept it for once. He's not perfect.
I've also had reports that Vince has been tearing up scripts from his hospital bed.
I wouldn't actually surprise you.
I mean, there's nothing on him. Just keeping his skills sharp,
Indeed. But recent interview, which will come out after this episode, so make sure you check that out. Quite a awesome dude, to be fair. We were chatting about this, and he's of the belief that it's not going to happen. He's obviously talking about the strike, the writer strikes.
Yeah, I mean, I take his point.
Or the actor strike, the writer strikes. Yeah, the actor strikes.
I mean, the writers might have gone on strike in WWE. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I take his point in what he was saying, and obviously go watch the interview. But it is the strike at the moment, and is that like, would he be dishonouring the strike by turning up in WWE? I mean, technically speaking, they're not in the Actors Guild, the wrestlers, so it's kind of theatrics and acting. But I don't know. It still feels. I
the rest
understand.
are still there, aren't they?
I understand why the rumour mill is running wild with this one, brother.
You heard it here first. Hogan is going to be the.
What's he going to do?
What are you going to do? But I don't know. It's an interesting one. I'd like to think if The Rock is going to make an appearance, it's to do with something to do with the Bloodline. If he shows up and it's something to do with Grayson Waller, could you fucking imagine? I'd be fuming.
Yeah, livid. Absolutely livid.
Dwayne. You know you watch this. You know it makes sense, lad. Sort it out. Don't be a soft lad. The Rock being a soft lad. That would make sense.
Ironic.
So yeah, I can't see it personally, but who knows? Crazier things have happened.
Indeed. Speaking of crazier things that have happened.
Speaking of cheap shots.
Anyway, I don't know. I mean, to me, I don't feel this is a particularly cheap shot, but the world's gonna gravitate to it. So
I definitely do.
Triple H has been speaking or interviewing or whatever in relation to the whole Cody documentary.
Well, it was on the doc.
It was on the doc.
On
Sorry,
the
I
doc,
thought it was on the interviews around the doc. But in any case, they mentioned about Cody. Funnily enough, I believe the whole documentary is about him. Actually, if you're
2 hours for this, actually.
Fucking crazy. Anyway, he referenced AEW as a secondary promotion and basically was suggesting that Cody was always destined for WWE. He's a WWE guy.
Mm-hmm.
He spent some time in a secondary promotion, but that's not where he belongs, man. I'm paraphrasing, obviously.
He said it just like that.
He doesn't say man. But obviously a lot of people jumped on this like, he's part of his secondary promotions. Like, let's be honest, reality, right? I don't know who was throwing shit, I don't know who talks like that. But let's be honest. And this is absolutely no disrespect to AEW. But WWE can quite confidently refer to themselves as the number one promotion in the world as far as wrestling goes.
Yeah.
They are quite literally a secondary promotion. Was it him being was it him throwing shade, or was it him just spitting facts? Is all I'm saying.
I think so. The reason I think it's shade is he could have used any other words possible to describe it as like. I
think we're making
an alternative.
Real great strides that he didn't call it a pissant company this time.
It's moved on, to be fair. But yeah, the fact that he didn't have to call it a secondary promotion, did he? Let's be honest.
But it's not first.
But he could have just said because in context, he's talking about obviously Cody making that decision to leave and then making that decision to come back, and he said ultimately Cody, realized that his dream has always been to be the champion in the WWE, not to be the face of like a secondary promotion. And it's like, ooh. I mean, he could have said to be the face of some other promotion or some independent promotion. Yeah. Well, maybe that would have been worse. But yeah, the fact he's just called a secondary, I can see why people are a bit thingy. But
I don't know.
I think it's cheeky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A little bit playful. A little bit playful.
He also was kind of like,
here's the game.
I don't know if you'll ever finish the story. Like, nice on trips.
Yeah, well, I know, yeah.
Neither do we.
Yeah. Hang on a minute, aren't you booking it? What do you mean?
Is this why he's on Raw?
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. But I don't know. I didn't get too upset about this. Yeah. But if you want to get upset, if you're an AEW fan and you want to get really upset, watch the Cody Rhodes documentary.
Yeah, head straight to Twitter to find other people.
X.
Well, it's still twitter.com. Well, it is x.com, actually. The app's still called Twitter.
X.com. Well, you can talk about your ex.
Yeah. So, speaking of that secondary company, so there are murmurs, Anthony, and I don't know how much credence there is to this, but AEW filed a trademark for AEW Plus.
I'm glad you clarified. I thought that was AEW and...
I made that. Oh shit over my I just copied Disney.
I'm sorry.
I just copied
I
Disney.
was kidding. It's quite clearly a plus.
But, right? Got me where it hurts in the graphic.
Not in the graphic design.
Yeah, so they've trademarked AEW Plus, right? Okay. Which would be cool. And it's trademarked for streaming services. So you're like, ooh, okay. Which would be very interesting if it didn't already fucking exist. So AEW Plus exists as part of Fight to stream in pay-per-views internationally.
So they're just going to sue Fight?
Well, no, but I mean, like, I don't know whether it's just, are they now it's just what they've called it and they've trademarked it for that, or is it now they've trademarked it for something else?
There might be. I think the chances are to go through the hassle of trademark must be to expand it in some way. What they're going to do with it, I don't know.
Well, yeah. Well, it's interesting. They've worked over the years, the short number of years they've been a company, to build up a massive content library underneath the whole point of Dark and Elevation.
And buying another company.
Yeah, Ring of Honor, and having 3 TV shows, all that.
Being the elite and...
Yeah. So the point of all that, I assume, is to have a back catalogue of stuff for people to go back and watch. Would make sense.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And he's obviously got access to he owns the whole Ring of Honor tape library and stuff, so that'd be perfect. But they have got Ring of Honor as its own streaming service, haven't they, as well? So I don't fucking know.
I mean, you'd like to think if you subscribe to AEW Plus, you'd be able to access Ring of Honor.
Yeah, ideally.
That sounds like a given.
Yeah, but I don't know. You raise an interesting point. I suppose the fact that they're trademarking it now, does that mean that they are planning to do something else with it? Perhaps. But in terms of what that something else is, I don't think anyone really knows. The speculation is they're going to launch their own thing, but what's really going to be... You know what I'd like to see more of from AEW? Some actual, documentaries and stuff. I'm not saying this because the Cody one came out, but, there's been.
I mean, I think it's fair to say you and I have always been fascinated by like, the ins and outs behind the scenes, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And you don't really get enough of that with AEW.
I mean, they could maybe put thingy on it, that reality show they had, All Access. That could be on there. But yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see more documentary type stuff. I watched something not too long ago actually, and it was like early documentary that they put together to hype a match for like early AEW, and it was so well done, and it really told the story of the match and stuff. I wish they could get back to that. At the minute now, it's like, we're going to put this guy versus this guy to put on the best wrestling match we can, and it's like that only goes so far. I think it was Vince Russo was on the Chris Van Vliet show, and he said, well, in fact, it was Gangrel had told Chris Van Vliet, and he brought it up with Russo, but in the Attitude Era, which is widely regarded as the best era, everyone, top to bottom of the card, had a story, a purpose. They were doing something. That's not the case today, is it? In any promotion as well, by the way. And you can say all you want about Russo, and I'm sure a lot of it is very, accurate, and he deserves it. But you can't take that away from him. You were invested up and down the card. Whereas today, and especially in AEW, it is, let's just put on a good match.
It's a fair point, like there's a lot going on in wrestling, there's a lot to enjoy in wrestling, but I feel like essentially you have to enjoy that across multiple promotions. And if you're one of these loyalists and you're like, I don't watch anything other than WWE, that's great and all, but beyond like what the Bloodline, what you watching?
Yeah, it's true. It is true.
Like I quite happily embrace other shows because I can get invested in various different things. I quite enjoy the Adam Cole MJF.
Yeah.
What's the word? Chemistry, bromance, if you will. As far as story goes, the betrayal's coming. As much as it's been done before, the CM Punk stuff is, interested enough to keep you compelled with Collision. Bloodline stuff's fantastic. We're building something now with Drew and Gunther, but you have to watch multiple promotions to have that consistent, like, here's a few stories I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Whereas,
there's
like
a lot of filler, isn't there?
Top and bottom of the card used to be the case.
Yeah.
And, okay, there was some stories you didn't like, but it weren't just like, what's Karrion Kross doing this week?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't know. Wrestling a guy.
Okay.
Well, no one seems to at the minute, sadly. No. I think Karrion's got something, but apparently they can't find it.
He's got a future endeavour waiting for him, I think. Not that I want it to happen.
The Endeavour deal?
Maybe. But anyway, so are they launching a streaming service? Maybe.
Maybe. So, Carl, sadly, with this next one, Jamie Hayter, the obviously undisclosed injury that was suffered, it was believed that she may hopefully be back for All In, which takes place in their home country of the United Kingdom, England. I have to say England because I said country. Yeah. And sadly, it seems to be almost a cert now that she won't be able to, or she won't be back in time for All In, and may quite possibly miss the rest of the year.
That is devastating, isn't it? If true.
I hope that she's at least there in some capacity, even if she can't wrestle.
Yeah.
I mean, it's getting pretty difficult right now, isn't it? With Jamie out and the likes of Jade Cargill taking a break and Thunder Rosa still being out. Like, it's getting kind of empty out there.
Yeah. And it's like, would Saraya be a babyface over in the UK? Because if so,
I'd like to think so.
Like, how are they going to book that? Because obviously she's part of like one of the most hated factions in the company at the minute. So
I know, it's a shame in it because she's going to have to go out and try and do some heel work, I guess. But
yeah,
we're going to want to cheer her. She's back.
Well, exactly.
Yay.
But yeah, massive shame if this is the case. I feel like it's for Danielson as well. Like, two of the top stars not being able to compete on, All In. It's just going to be devoed. But yeah,
and they still won't disclose a card.
Yes, this is true. But yeah, speedy recovery to her anyway. Hopefully she can make it. But yeah, shame if not. This next one is very interesting, and it's so interesting that I don't really remember it in full, so I'm just going to consult my notes for a minute. But Vince McMahon has undergone some life-changing surgery, and I believe, I'm just going to speculate on this, it was spinal surgery.
Oh, damn. I was about to make a joke about some sort of enlargement, but now I feel that.
Yeah, he underwent major spinal surgery last week. This is from Fightful Select. Basically, this has prevented him from working on last week's SmackDown and Raw. If he was anyway. Still a bit dubious on that. But apparently the surgery took 5 hours, and those close to him said it was a major life-altering operation. I mean, the dude he's old.
So, there's your news. Dude's old.
Dude old has surgery because he's old. But I mean, he's competed in the ring and he's in fantastic, physical shape for his age. Yeah. But you could see towards the latter part of him on screen in WWE, he kind of losing a step a little bit. So hopefully this surgery, whatever's happened, is gonna.
I'd have probably lost a step in like my 50s, 60s. So fair play to them.
I've already lost a few. Oh my. So yeah, obviously there'll be people out there say, good and all that because they're fucking terrible people. But obviously, wish him a very speedy recovery and hopefully it's, when they say life altering or whatever, hopefully it's for the better though, as opposed to.
I know, yeah, it's a bit of a vague term, that isn't it? But hopefully, yeah. I mean, you got to imagine to go under the knife, the benefits of outweigh the.
Yeah, fingers crossed. But
Indeed.
Yeah, so obviously Vince, we know you're watching this, so
of course,
wishing you all the best, my friend.
So Carl, a bit of
fucking full of happy news, aren't we? 3 in a row, yeah.
Bit of a sad one, and just I suppose a quick one really. So it's just to a bit of an honourable mention, if you will, to Adrian Street, who is Welsh wrestling fame, Carl, from the 80s. So I suppose a lot of our younger listeners, viewers, may not have sort of been aware of his impact on the business, but can certainly he's been involved in various documentaries and like over the years. But sadly, Adrian passed away at the age of 82. To be fair, and recently, I don't know if it was the article hasn't been very clear on this. It said that he'd recently undergone brain surgery, so I don't know if it was due to complications with that. But it's just more just a an honourable mention to a wrestling legend.
Yeah, someone who at a time he was very flamboyant and he was larger than life, and especially over in Britain at that point in time, what you often saw.
He was like family wise, he was destined to follow his dad in the coal mines. So to go this route instead, bold.
Very bold. But obviously he's had a massive impact on not even just British wrestlers, wrestlers all over the world. But I saw some kind of really nice tributes on the likes of Drew McIntyre and stuff, just about how much he's helped them with their careers and shaped what they do and stuff. So
I mean, I've all the things I've seen of people saying like he was an absolutely lovely guy in real life. Beyond the character, seemed to be just an absolute professional in the business and very well thought of. So yeah, very sad loss.
Yeah, condolences to his family and obviously anyone who knew him. So massive shame. So this next one is a very interesting one, Anthony. So Roosh has confirmed that he has committed his future to AEW. I believe there's some background story behind this, so I'm not too sure on the details, but I think Roosh and his family were going through some stuff, and he's gone on record now as saying that Tony Khan was really there for him during all of this. And from everything we've ever heard from anyone about Tony Khan, he seems to just be a fucking lovely man, and he really cares about his, I
think family certainly hits him in a certain place as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, like the amount of people who've just can't say nice enough things about him when it comes to that, like personal things and stuff. And it's just...
Well, I mean, look at, like, people like to talk shit about, like, the rivalries between the business and Tony Khan's bad at this and Tony Khan this. But, like, the way he handled the whole William Regal situation was just fantastic.
Absolutely. And with everything he had going on as well in his life at that time, you know what I mean?
Couldn't get more professional in the way that was dealt with, man.
Not at all. But yeah, so it seems like Roosh has been very appreciative of how Tony dealt with the situations and, the whatever was going on with him at that point in time. So he's now committed his future to AEW, and I think he tagged the faction in Governables, or however you say it, and basically saying like, let's get it, like the work starts now kind of thing. So nice. Hopefully we see more from him. To be fair, I think when they brought him in originally and he was with Andrade and it was like, oh, this could go somewhere, it's like just didn't seem to go anywhere. But I don't even know what's going on with LFI now, whether it's still a faction, I'm not too sure. But yeah, I think he could be a really, really useful guy to have.
Because am I right in saying Andrade recently, he won against House of Black, didn't he?
So he got his mask back on Collision. So his mask was hanging from the rafters. He beat Buddy.
Sorry, I said House of Black. It was Buddy. Yeah. I know Julia got a lot of praise for that work in that match. But so he actually got his mask back. So that could be the start up of everything again, couldn't it? Really?
I mean, it's clearly not done. I think Andrade's called out Malachi for All In. Whether that happens or not remains to be seen. But if you need a helping hand against the House of Black, then who do you turn to?
Yeah,
we'll be there, man. We won't actually.
No, sadly.
But yeah, so obviously, hopefully, all his personal family stuff or whatever's all resolved now. Anyway, hopefully everything's good with him, and big congratulations on signing with AEW for the long term.
So, Carl, more of a tidbit this one really than a news. Jeff Hardy recently been speaking on another wrestling show. Apologies because I didn't pick up on the name of the wrestling.
It's not us, we don't care.
On someone else's show. And he was talking about obviously where he is in his career at the minute after everything that went on a year ago. Yeah. And it's interesting actually. I don't know if this is a big thing, but for me, I was like, that's surprising. But he was referring to like quite clearly Rampage as like the lower tier show, and he's trying to basically him and Matt are trying to work their way back to Dynamite, which I didn't really class it as a thing. I just thought all shows are important and no title's higher than each other title and all that bollocks. But he sort of alluded to the fact that they want to have their goal between them two is to get back onto Dynamite, make some more Dynamite moments, get possibly world tag champs, that kind of thing. But then obviously he was also asked about would he like a world title run, and obviously he's basically said like it'd be, paraphrasing obviously, that it'd be like almost like the best results to like that return back, like to come back from where he was to where he is, to sort of cap that off with another world championship run would be like the icing on the cake, as it were. So it seems that certainly Jeff wants it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is interesting the fact he says like he's on Rampage, he wants to work his way up to Dynamite. I think it comes with the trust aspect. So he's probably on Rampage and not getting pushed, just to make sure that.
To be honest, I think it was more for me that like he's like saying something that I don't think professionally they wanted to say, and that Rampage is a lesser show. Yeah.
No, it is fair. But I think
like admitting NXT is not the third brand. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it makes a good point though. I don't know whether or not we'll see it. I think I can definitely see a tag run between them. I personally want to see Jeff Hardy and Sting because we never got to see it in Impact.
Yeah.
Well, TNA.
That would, yeah. Well, we kind of did.
Well, yeah. But
we got to see Sting, and
we know how that went down. So I feel like he's talking about like retribution or the icing on the cake of his return. And it's like, I feel like
it'd be a nice. Yeah.
But I can't honestly at this point in his career see him as the world champion for AEW. Unfortunately,
I personally
Ring of Honor maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a run. Yeah,
maybe
because he hasn't specified. Honestly, if you wanted like the icing on the cake for Jeff, and I don't want to see him leave AEW, but for me, Impact champion would be the icing on the cake like that. That was probably his biggest move outside of WWE. That was probably the biggest thing he did, wasn't it? So. For me, why not Impact champion?
Yeah, but yeah, I hope he stays healthy. I hope he stays active, and we get to see the Hardys do what they do best. And then if he can, basically, and
yeah. And for those of you who couldn't see it, that was funny.
You just heard some squeak.
I know, right? So, and this,
weird twist of fate. See what I did there? See what I did?
Hey.
Which does bring us on to the last one. Slow news week this week, or we've just missed a load of stuff, basically.
Yeah, because all the super important stuff.
Anthony, you can't find news, will you help me? Because I didn't do that.
Triple H is quitting, gone to AEW and everything, and we haven't even covered
it. But the last one to talk about. So, good old JR himself, lovely man. You can see him behind me if you're watching this on this picture.
Wait, why am I moving?
That's very cool. But there's been some health concerns about him over recent months. So first of all, it's like his voice. He was really hoarse and he was having trouble. He had obviously the cancer thing with his leg, and then he was set to be commentating on Collision, but he had a fall, and that prevented that. And he's been absent since. So people are basically going, "Oh, maybe he's done. He's hanging it up. He's retiring." But basically, JR took to Twitter and said, "No plans to hang it up at this time. Appreciate you." So hopefully he's on the mend, and he's JR. He's a legend, isn't he? Let's be honest.
I can't imagine like he is commentary.
Yeah.
Like I know some people have like tried to be a bit bitchy about his run in AEW.
Yeah. I know he's made a couple of mistakes.
Some names confused here and there, but I mean, you know what? He's a fucking legend. He was the fucking
even using him in that capacity of like he's not the main commentator, but we bring him in for the main event or we bring him in for the special match. Yeah. He's got a place.
I know that this is not necessarily everyone's thoughts, and I'm not even sure it's your thoughts, but JR and King, that they're like the pinnacle of commentary teams. I know, because I know you're going to say it's not. But let's be honest.
They were good. They were very good.
They were the best, Carl.
They weren't.
They fucking were.
They weren't Bobby the Brain and Gorilla Monsoon.
Don't be wrong.
They just weren't.
Bobby and Gorilla.
They just weren't.
At least admit that it's a debate between those two commentary teams.
Oh, 100%, yeah. Like, it ain't fucking Michael Cole and anybody.
No, but you're going to have people in different camps, aren't you? You're going to have your JR and King people and your Monsoon and Bobby people.
Yeah. All I will say on that, watch the 1992 Royal Rumble again. See the masterpiece that was Bobby the Brain Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon, and you'll see why they were the best. But yeah, King and JR were awesome as well. But yeah, JR, absolute legend. I'm glad that he's not retired. I'm glad that and hopefully we'll see him soon. And yeah, I guess good news to end the show.
Indeed.
So that was the show. That was the news this week. Clocking in at around 25 minutes. So let us know what you think. Is The Rock coming back? Will it be at SummerSlam? Will he be involved with Grayson Waller? What do you think about all the other crap we talked about? Do let us know in the comments if you're watching on YouTube.
Comments. Very depressing.
Yeah, I know. Sorry about that. Yeah, we can only talk about the news. We can't control the news, you know? So it's just one of those.
Maybe one day.
Maybe. But if you're listening to this and obviously, you know, missing out on the weird visuals that we do and just hearing weird sound effects, maybe that makes your listening experience even more fun. We appreciate you too. And, you know, make sure you download the episodes, leave a review and all that good stuff.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you. But yeah, buy some merch as well. I think we've got some merch still.
Buy some merch.
Buy some merch from us. Yeah, like, subscribe, comment.
Like, subscribe.
Go for that. What's the thing we did? Thank you.
Thank you. Next time.
Goodbye. Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, you were doing the MJF thing.
But we won't do that. Instead, we'll just say we'll catch you on the next one.